Welcome back to our QuickBooks Online tutorial series. Today, we're moving beyond the basics and diving into how to set up new vendors in your QuickBooks environment. This process is crucial for managing your company's relationships with its suppliers and service providers efficiently. Firstly, navigate to the Expenses tab on the left-hand sidebar of your QuickBooks dashboard. Here, you'll find an option for vendors. Clicking on this will bring you to your vendor list. This list is where all your vendor information is centralized, and it functions similarly to the customer list, but is tailored specifically for vendor management. To add a new vendor, look for the New Vendor button. This is your gateway to entering a new vendor into your system. Clicking this button will open a form that is quite similar to what you've used for customers, but with fields adjusted for vendor details. When adding a new vendor in QuickBooks Online, it's crucial to input their information accurately to ensure smooth transactions and accurate reporting. The Name and Contact section of the vendor registration form captures essential details about your vendor. Start with the company name, which is the official legal name of the vendor's business. This might be something like Smith Consulting LLC. Right next to this, you'll see the vendor display name. This is a unique identifier for the vendor in your QuickBooks system. You might want to simplify Smith Consulting LLC to just Smith Consulting without the LLC for ease of recognition. But remember, no two vendors can have the same display name, so if you have multiple vendors with similar names, you might need to differentiate them further, perhaps by adding a location or abbreviation, like Smith Cons NY. Note that the display name here is the most important, and it is compulsory for you to fill it. All other information is not compulsory, but it's always good to put it there. Moving down, you'll find fields for personal contact details, which may or may not be necessary depending on the nature of your relationship with the vendor. If your vendor contact has a specific point person, fill in their title, first name, middle name, last name, and if applicable, suffix. The email and phone number fields are essential for communication. Ensure you have current and accurate contact details. Under Other, you might specify additional identifiers or details, like a department or specific location within the company, if they are large enough to warrant it. The website field can be filled too, which is useful for quick reference to the vendor's online presence. The Name to Print on Checks field is particularly important for ensuring that payments are processed correctly by banks. This should be the name that your vendor uses for their bank account. In many cases, it will be the same as the company name, but some businesses prefer payments to be directed to an alternative name or to an individual if they are sole proprietors. After filling out this section, you will proceed to the Address section and other pertinent details. Fill them out if you think it's necessary for the vendor you're dealing with. Now coming down to this section labeled as Additional Information. When filling out this section, you're handling some crucial details that will affect how you manage payments and reporting for that vendor. Start with the Taxes section. Enter the vendor's business ID or social security number, which is essential for tax reporting purposes. If the vendor should be considered for 1099 reporting, which is necessary for any non-corporate service providers who exceed the minimum threshold over the fiscal year, make sure to check the box labeled Track Payments for 1099. This is critical for maintaining compliance with IRS requirements. Next, consider the expense rates. If you have a standard billing rate for services provided by the vendor, you can input this hourly rate. This feature is useful for service-based vendors, such as consultants or freelancers, where you might be billed per hour. Under Payments, you will set the terms, which might be net 30, net 60, etc., defining how many days you have to pay the invoices. This helps manage your cash flow and payment schedules effectively. The Accounting section allows you to specify the default expense category. This helps in categorizing expenses automatically when transactions are entered for this vendor. For instance, if your vendor supplies office materials, you might set this to office supplies or office expenses. This pre-selection can simplify data entry and ensure consistency in your expense tracking. Lastly, the Opening Balance and As Of fields are used if you are migrating the vendor's balance from another system into QuickBooks on a specific starting date. For example, if the vendor had an unpaid invoice of $2,000 on the 1st of July, 2025, you would enter 2,000 in the opening balance and set the date in as of. This helps in accurately reflecting the financial obligations you have toward this vendor from the start of using QuickBooks. By carefully managing these details, you ensure that your financial records are precise and that your relationships with vendors are documented correctly, allowing for smooth operational and financial processes. Once you have filled out all the necessary fields, clicking Save will add this vendor to your list, making future transactions smoother and helping you maintain an organized ledger. As you continue to build out your vendor list, remember that managing this list effectively will help streamline your purchasing processes and improve your financial management practices. Stay tuned for more detailed tutorials on maximizing your use of QuickBooks Online, where we'll delve into specific scenarios to help you fully leverage this powerful tool for your business management.